Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be building a frame, and this has got me very excited. It's called the awesome F200, and it's the 3BR clone, I guess. But it just looks awesome. It's very good for its price point. It's $35. I really liked it when I saw it. I wanted the purple one, but they were out of stock, so I got the gold one. So it's very good. 3K carbon. It's not as rigid as the Frog, but I just like it. I don't know why. I'm just liking these box style Relay CX210 and the Frog. They fly very good. I really love them. They fly better than the Martian actually, and I really enjoy these. So I hope we're gonna fit everything here. So I finished reviewing these ESCs and they'll be coming up later on. These are actually very good for their price point, and we'll keep that for later on. So we're going to be using these ESCs, and we're going to be using the the board we just reviewed on the channel, which is the HGLRC F4 Flame. So this is going to be very good. This is going to be our official flight testing of the board, and we're going to put it without a low ESR capacitor just to see what's up. For motors, I'm going to use, I know, T-Motor F80. I have the older replacements of all the bad problems I've had with them, and I've had maybe, this is my fifth chance for T-Motor. These are replacement. Oh, these are not replacements. These are the ones I ordered, and I was so scared to put them on anything. So it's going to be on this guy, and if these go bad, then I'm just going to have a big problem with T-Motor. I'll never touch T-Motor again. So let's hope these are going to be good. Let's hope we have good luck with these. So I mean, I've had a lot of bad luck with T-Motor. Everything T-Motor just completely breaks. And as you guys saw right now, they're releasing their new, stronger version. They still haven't released on Banggood, but they're on arrival right now. Alright, anyways, enough about the motors. So we're using F80, 2500 kV. For VTX, we're going to use the EACHINE TX526 selectable transmitter. It's very good, very cheap. And for camera, it's basically a Foxeer XAT 600, but it's the Chinese clone. So it's just a not branded one, and it's the same exact thing. I mean, it's cheaper. It's like $20, so I just got a bunch of those. It's the same thing, really. All right, so ESC's DYS XS 30 amp, and let's get started. Alright guys, so far I'm very impressed with this frame actually. Just the way it's made inside, it fits everything just perfect. Well, as of right now, as it seems to me, it's just absolutely amazing. I really love it. It's just going along just totally perfect so far, which is very good. So this is an F4 board, and it's very sensitive. It has a sensitive gyro, so it's highly recommended you use some kind of dampening rubber gaskets here, so you could actually just prevent it from just oscillating like crazy. Let me just show you something. So I've set up the screws here. I've put, I think these are 5mm standoffs, and these are 7 or 8. And we still have room actually, which is pretty darn awesome. And the way the top is set up for the VTX is just perfect. I have yet to receive a quad, like a small quad like this, to be perfectly thought out. And if this is a copy of that 3BBR frame, then those 3BBR guys, 3B guys know what they're doing, to be honest. Because this is just unbelievable. Let me just stick that in. Wow, what am I doing wrong here? Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. So check this out. That is just perfect. And the VTX, when it goes in here, you get 2 holes, okay? And then you could actually wrap it around, and these aluminum standoffs stop it from slipping out. So it's just, I don't know, it's awesome. And it gives you enough room in there, so you just stick it up there, and we just put zip ties around it, and voila, we have room, and it should be very clean. So that is awesome. I just wanted to share that with you guys before I continue. All right, so let's remove this receiver. All right, and what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna prepare the ESCs, and we're gonna solder in the ESCs first. I've learned that over time that do the ESCs, don't connect the wires, because it just gets absolutely messy. So I'm going to bring in the ESCs, we're going to stick them on, and then we're going to cut them to length, and we're going to start soldering them in. So let me get that ready. Alright, so we're going to begin by soldering the pads first. It's going to make your life a lot easier. And from testing the PDB, I recommend you actually solder in your VTX wires before actually putting these in, because this is actually, it's very small. It's actually smaller than I thought when I started soldering it. Actually, I'm even using the wrong tip, but I'm too lazy to change it and it's already out, so forget it. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin by soldering the power pads of the ESC. So this would be signal 1. Alright. This is the ground of the first ESC. And this is going to be the positive. Make sure you keep cleaning the solder tip. And now we're going to hit it with the negative on signal 3. That should be good enough. And actually, these are very tiny pads for ESC power, but we'll see if that's going to make a difference. All right. Okay. All right. Now let's put on this pad, and we'll jump to the signals, and then we'll figure out what we're going to be using, and we also put solder on them. So I get a lot of requests, people telling me to actually make these a little bit longer. So I mean, they like them super detailed. So we're going to do this one super detailed for them, since they enjoy this. I remember sometimes when I was bored, or sometimes if I couldn't go to sleep, I would actually put Travis Grindall's channel and watch him build the real ECX210 and just fall asleep with that. It's just, yeah, maybe some people do the same thing that I do, but anyways. Alright, so now we're going to hit signal 1. This is for the signal for motor 1. It's a very tiny pad. You don't want to put too much because it'll start seeping through the other side, because these are holes. Alright, so we're going to go now to signal 3. Okay, we're good. And now we're going to hit it with positive. Okay, so here it's a bit tricky. It's very tricky actually. And here, same thing. You don't want to bridge them, because that's no. Here I bridged them kinda, but it's okay. Alright, so we've done the VTX, and it's right there. Positive, VTX, and ground. So I don't like the ground much because it's just, oh my goodness, we hit the capacitor, I didn't even see that. This is what I was talking about in the first review. You gotta be very careful. I would not recommend using the same soldering tip that I am using. That would be just a big no-no. So this is fine. We're gonna fix that later on. So there we go. Let me bring it closer to you guys and let it focus. There we go. So these are pretty good. They're not bad. That's flux around. We're gonna clean that off later. I have some flux cleaner finally, so we can clean those off. And you should clean them off. I've burnt the board because I forgot to clean it off. I was just too lazy to clean it off. I was like, oh no, it's not that conductive. And bye-bye board. Alright, so now what are we gonna go for? We did signal 3, we did signal 1. Let's do signal 2 since it's right here. Okay. Let's do cam negative, which is right in front of us. We're just gonna move along. And here's cam signal. Here's cam positive. And here's 5 volt for the receiver. And here's ground for the receiver. And we're gonna do PPM because some people complain about the S-bus and I really don't wanna deal with it. And here's signal 4. And the pads are prepared. Except the battery terminals. Now let's just do the battery terminals here. Alright, so see, this is totally fine here. You see this? Because we're just gonna redo this anyways. So we're just gonna heat up this pad. Wait for it. There we go. I should put a little bit more. Okay, just warm it up, make sure it's nice and toasty. Yes, perfect. Same goes here. Perfect. So we're almost done with soldering. So like I told you before, what I noticed is we should actually start soldering in the camera and the VTX wires before going into the battery terminal. Or can we? No, we can get past it. Let's start with the ESCs and then we go to the camera and the VTX. So let me get the ESCs ready. I'll stick them on the frame and we'll start soldering them in. Alright guys, so I managed to put the ESCs on. Now just be aware, just make sure you put the cover on before you actually start soldering, because I had to move these a little bit back because it was just too much stress on the wire. So we want it to be stress free as possible. And I noticed something is I wish these ESCs came the other way around. It would make our life a lot easier, because now what we have to do is we have to go like this. We have to basically cross them, and this one would have to go like this. So they're going to be crisscrossed. All right, what I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to cut them to length, and then when I come back, we're going to solder them onto the flight controller. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you what I did here, or what I'm actually going to do here. Since these are flipped and the positive is here and it's not here, and we have to go through this way because of the side plate. So what I'm going to do is I've actually made this ground a little bit longer for us to actually just have it stay like this. Okay, because don't forget there's a standoff coming down here. We don't want it to be in the way. And the power, I kept it as short as possible, and I'm going to bend it and then connect it like this. So it's going to come under the standoff and it's going to loop over and connect. So I'm going to heat up the wires now. We're going to tin the wires, and then we're going to go for the soldering. So I tried to make these as small as possible. This one's probably a bit too small. And there we go. There's a little bit longer. So we can always cut this off. So just some basic testing I've done. Try to keep your ESC wires as small as possible. It reduces the amount of noise. But I mean, if you get a good ESC and it's not producing much noise, then you're totally fine also. These actually were very good in noise. Very good actually. You guys will see. I wish I could just upload all the videos at once, but I don't want to spam you guys, because you know there's people who I was watching also on YouTube, and then they just kept uploading like crazy, and it just became so annoying that I didn't even care what the hell they were uploading. So I just don't want to end up in that situation. I do that sometimes, but sometimes I just need to get a couple things out. But yeah. Alright, so let's start with the ground. So the hemostats are a must-have in your drone building toolbox. Without them, it's almost impossible to work with. So let's see, can you guys see? Yes, you can. Alright, so we're going to start with ground. We're just going to tap it. Just love hearing that crunching sound. Let go. We got a perfect solder. Perfect. Alright. So now what we need to do is we take the positive and route it to the other side. Let's go, buddy. Alright, and now we need our favorite tool, which is the hemostat. Without it, this is impossible. It's not impossible, but I mean, you won't get such clean solder jobs really. So there we go. And now we're just going to bring the soldering iron and just tap, and then just move it ever so slightly until you hear that beautiful crunching sound. That's when you know you're doing something right. Unless it's crunching something it's not supposed to, then you're screwed. Come on. Come on. There we go. Alright. Yeah, perfect. So that looks good enough. That looks very good actually. And pretty hot. That's what I hate about them. The solder gets sucked in here and it just makes it all hard. But it's good at the same time. But you have to make sure where you oriented it so you it doesn't block anything. Oh, I forgot to ground the ESC. should we ground it? Well, how hard is it to cut it off? You know what, we're not going to ground it this time. We are not going to ground it. So what I'm going to do is actually, we're going to cut some of this off. And I don't know where my tools are, so we're going to try to do it this. Alright, that's perfect. So we're going to cut the ground as far inside as possible. Try not to hit anything else, which is also very difficult to do when you do it so half-assed like me. And sometimes you just, there we go. Alright, so we just cut the ground off, so we're not grounding the ESCs anymore because I forgot. So let's cut this guy here, we don't need this long. Signal, okay. Make sure you grab it because you don't want to pull it off. Signal, will just keep it as short as possible. Right there is good. Just like this much because you don't want it, the propellers suck it up and basically cut it up. That would give you a bad day. Alright, so signal 1, which is motor 1, and we're going to cut it here. It's fine. And then grab this guy. I think there's silicone actually. Maybe not. Oh shit, it's a piece of crap. I think it's best to actually use a lighter in this situation, because you could just rip the wire off the ESC and just make more work for yourself that you really don't need. There we go, that's perfect. And just double check, yeah, it's still good over there. So now we're just gonna add a little solder onto the signal wire and trim some of it off. And no, it's not silicone, I can see it melting. So this is not silicone. I mean, you're getting what you paid for, but you're actually paying for something pretty damn good here. I mean, for the price of this and for the results that it gave me, I was actually very impressed. I can't wait to show you guys. That's just gonna be awesome. So if you're thinking of getting these ESCs, actually get them before I release the review, because they're probably one of the best budget ESCs you could find right now in terms of noise and voltage spikes and all that. It was actually very good. Alright, we got one ESC done now, which is awesome. I hope you guys saw that. I wasn't paying attention. Alright, so what should we jump to? Let's go to this guy. So I'm going to do this guy also, and then after that I'm going to skip. Okay, so we're going to have to actually do the opposite here. We're going to have the ground go in through here, the bottom. Alright. And this guy here. Right. Okay. Alright, so positive will go here. So our positive is going to go here. We're going to leave some slack here so it kind of pops up so we don't hit the frame and we don't get too much slack, so when it's rotating it doesn't cut this off, because that'll ruin your day. So what are we going to start with? So let's cut the power here. I think right about there is fine. Yeah, here. Right here should be very good. This was 16 gauge, I think. Okay. And then let's get the negative, which we pulled from the bottom, and try to keep it as short as possible. Right here would be perfect also. Okay. Need 16 gauge. 16 testing gauge right to see how much I'm cutting off. There we go. Cut off a bit too little. There we go. Perfect. Now we're gonna add a little solder to these guys, and we're gonna solder them in, and then we're gonna skip the other two ESCs since you guys got an idea of how to do this, and we'll make this process a lot faster. So, okay. Good. And this guy. Yeah. We're gonna have to pull him out to actually do this. So here he is. And here's the solder. Perfect. We might need to trim off some of the on the ground a little bit, yeah. Let's do that now. Okay. Positive is perfectly. I mean, it's good. It's perfect enough. It's good enough. We're going to leave it for later. We're just going to solder you right now. Alright, so right there is good. Yeah, that's good. Do you hear that? That's just sound of beauty. It's perfect. Oh, fuck you. Alright. So it's actually too much. We shortened this wire a bit too much here. And we're actually bending it a lot. But that's fine. Once it pulls, we should be good to go. Why didn't it look nice? Maybe because we squished it. It's good though. It's good enough. Yeah, it's good. Alright, now it's signal time. And signal, we're going to have to route it through the bottom here. So we're going to have to cut the... We're going to have to cut the ground wire out. And don't do it the same way I'm doing because I'm not doing it the right way. I'm just too lazy. Alright. It's very bad now. We've kind of exposed it, but I don't think it could touch anything. That's good. All right, now we're good to go. So we have to pull this guy through the bottom. It's good to keep tweezers around. There we go. And we're gonna have to route him through these guys. There we go. So he kind of stays put in the wind. There we go. And right about here should be good. We're gonna need a lighter. So these wires need lighter. It's because they're crappy, but that's fine. As long as the ESC is good, I'm totally fine with that. I've seen crappier wire. Trim some of that off. We trimmed a bit too much here, but make sure you always clean the solder tip because it could make a lot of problems if you don't. And just that one time you get lazy, it could just ruin your day, really. Yeah, it's gonna be impossible to do it like this. Okay. So that's 2 ESCs done. As you can see, it's pretty clean and it's very nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these 2 off camera and I'll be right back and then we'll see what's the next step. Alright guys, so we got all the ESCs soldered in place and it's very light. I'm just tripping on how light it is. Maybe it's because we didn't put the motors yet. So we're gonna leave the motors for last because that's just gonna get a bit annoying now with all these wires. So it came out very clean, like I told you. One would wrap around and then the other would just go through the top right here. And it seems like we're not gonna have anything getting in the way. Let me just fix the camera for you. So if we take a look here, it looks very clean. It looks very, very clean. I'm very pleased with it. We've cut out the ESC signals for the ground for the signals, so we're not going to be using those. And for this build, I'm actually going to solder the motors directly, and we're going to reverse them in BL Heli. So hopefully that'll work out just fine. We won't have any desyncs, and if we do, we could just replace it. All right. So now next step, I'm going to grab the camera wire and the VTX wire, and we're going to solder those in place now. So be right back. All right. So we just got the camera wires. I'm going to put solder on them real quick. And that should be good. All right. Let's do this guy now. Perfect. And the last one I think is ground, yeah. Ground. Put some solder here. Have a grip. And we're good. Alright, we're gonna have to trim these off because they're a bit too long here. So let's trim these guys off. Let's start with this guy. It's about good. Can't tell this guy starts. Maybe there. Alright, so we got them trimmed down. So cam is right there. I don't know if you can read it. There's cam. Let's see. Here's cam, which is the camera line, the yellow line, negative. And then we got the 5V, which is positive. So we're going to start, which way is easier? Let's start from up here and then move our way down. I think it'll be a lot easier for us because they're very close and they're very tiny. So we're going to start with ground here. Make sure it's super clean. The tip of your soldering iron is super clean, or else you're going to have a lot of problems. Okay, ground is in. Awesome. Now we're going to grab the yellow line. Okay, which is the camera feed, and we're going to just slightly tap it. And it's in. 5 volt. And we have our camera. I think, yeah, this is the camera wire. Yep. I made it a bit too long here, but that's fine. I just don't want it to rip off. So camera's done here. Let's move to VTX. Let me go grab the wire and then strip it, and then we'll do it again just like this guy. Alright, so I got the VTX wires. So let's grab the, oh shit, it's alright. So just keep this floating in the air. From here, it's better. Alright, so what I always recommend doing is you actually twist the wires. Always twist the wires as much as possible. Just because you don't want one going somewhere. You don't want it to go while you're soldering, because once the solder melts, they could actually just behave like wire that's not spun correctly, and which could make a lot of problems. And I mean a lot of problems, really. So we're gonna cut these guys out. Okay, just gonna make them a little bit smaller. And this guy. This was very difficult, as I remember when I was putting it on the power bench. I mean on the bench, and while I was testing. It was very, very tricky. But maybe here it's easier now, because last time I was kind of just not really aware of myself. I was just trying to, well, not really paying attention. So this is going to be a problem here. I'm actually going to run it like this. So it's going to be like this. It's better. Oh, sorry. Like this, because then we don't run into this and we don't have any problems. I think that's the smartest thing to do, hopefully. Well, it seems like it to me right now. So we're going to just touch it. I think we got it. I can't see. Alright, let's just double check it. Yeah, that seems good. Yes, very good. Alright, now we're going to do this guy, which is the VTX line. Seems good. Yes. Now positive. I don't even see the positive. Like, where is it? The way the light is glaring, I couldn't see it. We don't want it too close there. There we go. So, in theory, this should be actually very good. Hopefully, it's holding out very well. As you can see, I'm pulling on it. All right, what's left now? Let's do PPM, because I'm too lazy to do S-bus. So we're gonna actually connect it PPM here now, and I'm gonna see if I could zoom, see how that'll look. That's not bad. So here. So PPM is right there, and this is ground, and this is 5 volt. And if your receiver takes a 3 volt, then you would put the 3 volt here, give it the same ground, and give it to whatever, Spectrum, PPM, or S-bus. Ours is 5 volts, so we're going to give it 5 volt ground, PPM. Maybe later on we switch to S-bus, but I just don't feel like putting up with it right now. So we're going PPM, and see how that's going to work out with us. So I'm going to grab the wire for the PPM receiver, and then we'll take it from there. So I like these Flysky wires here. They're silicone, and all you gotta do is just pinch it and pull. Same goes for this guy. Pinch it and pull, and then pinch it and pull. And we just stripped it, which is awesome. So like I always say, and I always will keep repeating it, make sure you twist your wires or all hell will break loose on your build. I mean, you could even burn flight controller, which costs you $100. So that's not fun at all. And then you're gonna have to wait a month to get a new one. And then you're just gonna have to sit there and just look at your quad and shit. Like, damn, I should have just spun it instead of been so lazy. Or even better, I should have listened to drone mesh. No. I'm just kidding. There we go. Oh, by the way, this pad is a silicone pad. That's why I always have it under me. And it's just awesome. I could solder on it if I had to. Alright, so now we are here. And let's just zoom in. I'm going to try the zooming in thing here. Okay, we're going to try to solder these in while I'm zoomed in. So first we're going to have to cut these guys out. Or shorten them. Make sure the tip is clean. So, that looks kind of complicated actually. What should we go with first? Let's go with positive. Let's go with the red wire. Okay, that's in. ppm. Is that smart? I think it could be. Let's try it. Yeah, that's not bad. And now ground. Yeah, that's perfect actually. That's very good, yeah. Holding very well. So, good job to me. So we are basically really just almost done. All we have to do is just put motors in, solder them in, and we're good to go. So actually I'm going to skip over soldering the motors because I'm just going to solder them just straight on. So I'm just going to put them in and then solder the motors, and then we'll come back and then plug everything up and just take a look at it. So be right back, guys. So I have installed the motors and it's looking massive. It looks like a monster truck. These motors are huge. I forgot what size they are. Just give me a moment. Alright, so the Emax is the biggest one is a 2306 and this is a 2408. So these are 2408 motors. These are massive. And I hope they're durable. I mean, unlike the other previous team motors I've gotten, I really hope they feel massive. They feel good. I'm hoping they're very good. And once it's complete, I could kind of show you, give you a nice perspective of how big these guys are. They're huge. There we go. And that's not because they're close. That's their size. They're that big. They just added all the weight to the frame. So I have no idea how this is gonna turn out, but I think this is gonna be a monster if it works. If these motors don't die on us before we even use them. All right. So what's the next step now? Right now, what I'm going to do is actually I'm gonna install the camera here. And then we are going to start plugging it in together. Oh, we forgot the battery terminals there. So we're gonna have to do that. All right, so let me put the camera in and then I'll be right back. All right, so I have installed the battery terminal, the battery wire, and I've connected the camera and I've connected the VTX once I find it. There it is. And here we have a screen, so we're gonna power up the screen. And hopefully everything works. So let's get the battery. So I still have not changed the so this is off, so that's what 0 means. So we're gonna hold it. Okay, so we're on A, and usually I like it on A2. So we're gonna hold it again. We're gonna wait for it. Okay, so now we're broadcasting on 200 milliwatts. We still need to change the frequency right there. That should be perfect. Yes, no smoke, everything sounded perfect. We have this is going, and this is absolutely perfect. I am very pleased with this. So yeah, it's gonna be a monster. So now everything is done. I'm just gonna find a place for the VTX, and we're gonna put it together. I'm gonna find a place for the VTX, put it together, and we should be done. Yeah, that's it, really. I'm gonna check on the motors and then reverse them if I have to, and then hopefully tomorrow, if there's no thunderstorm, we could try this guy out along with the split level frame. I've already tried that frame out, but I wasn't comfortable flying it because I was in a new area and I didn't want to lose it, and it was kind of I don't want to say desyncing, but I think it's a tuning problem. It wasn't falling out of the sky, but it was just doing some weird jerks every once in a while. And yeah, anyways, so let's finish this and I'll be right back. Guys, all right, so it's complete, and I've not connected it, I've not bound it or anything, but it's complete, it's working, VTX working. I hear the ESCs, and I decided to plug in a GoPro lens on there, and just look at it. It's so massive, like just the motors are so massive, and it's one of the cleanest builds I've had. I love the space in here with the F4 flame, and we have my receiver here, VTX here. Nothing, I didn't have to squish anything, everything just slid just perfect. The only problem I did was I left the VTX wires and the camera wires too long, so I had to figure out a way to fix that. And other than that, it was just absolutely perfect. And just looking at it, I just had to put the GoPro lens on there because I think this is going to be one of the frames that are just going to be absolutely just crazy insane. I mean, this is just going to be a monster. The motors are just huge at 2408, so I mean they're a lot bigger than the EMACs. EMACs are 2306. These are 2408. But I really hope they're gonna be durable, unlike my previous experience with T-Motor. So, anyways, let me weigh it in, and then after we weigh it, then we're gonna leave you guys with the showcasing of this frame and seeing how it looks like. So I really love it. So let me get the scale, we weigh it real quick. And we have the scale. Let's zero it out. Let's zero it out. There we go. Alright, let's fix this angle. There we go, it's perfect. And this is with everything. Oh, it's on the heavy side. I think it's because of the motors. The motors are very heavy. I think it's just the motors, but I mean, you have all that thrust and plus with these motors, so I don't think it's a problem. This should have been a very light build. It shouldn't be that heavy. The motors are absolutely heavy. It's the thing that added a lot of weight to it. I forgot to weigh the motors before, but even though this is gonna fly just absolutely crazy, I think. So we're gonna wait and see how that's gonna turn out. I'll probably put the Racecraft 51 something propellers on there. I forgot what 5150 or 5051 probably on this, and check it out, and I think it's gonna be pretty awesome. So that's gonna conclude it for this video, guys. I'm gonna leave you guys with the showcasing of the build, and don't forget, join my Patreon and you could actually win this one. I'm not gonna keep them, so yeah, I would love to win something like this myself, to be honest. So consider joining me on Patreon, check out my goals, and when we reach them, you guys, I'll be more than happy to give this away. So alright guys, take care, and I will see you next time.